The gap between struggling and elite performance at pretty much anything at life or work comes down to just answering three questions, and most people are avoiding them. And this relates to everything in life, from business to health, relationships, faith, money, all of it. People want to win in life at the things that are important to them. But the problem is, a lot of times we haven't actually defined what winning looks like. And we're actually operating off of somebody's idea of what winning actually is. See, things go wrong when we don't have clarity in our life, especially around these three questions. And what ends up happening is we just get really busy and we do lots of different things and it feels productive. But the reality is, the best way to get lost is to have lots of speed and no destination that you're aiming for. This is why very motivated, very capable people are constantly feeling burnt out and frustrated with the results that they're getting in certain aspects of their life. They feel like they're trying. It's not because they're not capable. What's happening is they're stuck because they haven't actually decided. The first question is the most dangerous one of them all, and it's, what do you want? Because once you ask this question and once you really stop to think about it, all of a sudden what happens is you begin to eliminate options. When you really say, this is the kind of person I want to be with, this is the kind of result I want in my business, this is the type of health choices that I want to make, all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of people I shouldn't be dating. There's a whole bunch of business stuff that were shiny objects I wanted to go do, but I can't do that anymore because I said I wanted this and that doesn't align with it. I said I wanted to be healthy and do these things. I'm going to have to cut back on those milkshakes all of a sudden. And here's the thing. We hate eliminating options. We feel like options give freedom, but in reality, it's the exact opposite. Options are a cage that prevent us from making decisions. The word decision, by the way, literally means to cut off. And here's the big lie. Vague goals equals vague results. I have people come to me all the time in my coaching practice, tell me that, Stephen, I want to build generational wealth. And I just go, okay, great. What is that? Is that a net worth number? Is that a monthly cash flow number? Over what period of time do you want to get this done? Building generational wealth is not a good goal. It's just vague. And therefore, we don't have clarity on what it is that we actually want. Another thing is, well, Stephen, I just want more freedom in my life. Okay, well, what does that mean? More freedom to do what exactly? And how are you going to create it? And by what are we defining freedom? We have to actually talk about that. That means different things to different people. Here's the magical reality. Specificity creates focus. But the reason so many of us are afraid of it and the reason that we avoid getting specific is because when you define what you want, you might actually realize, I was chasing the wrong thing. I have outgrown the current path that I'm on, the people that I am around. I need to pivot. I need to go in a different direction. And that's going to require change. And that makes us uncomfortable. The power of getting clarity on the question of what do you want will ultimately help you raise your standards. It will help you eliminate distractions, and it's going to help you lower decision fatigue because it's going to be really easy to filter out the things that you don't need to be doing. If you can't define it, then you're never going to do it. Now, question number 2 is really powerful because it can actually change our answer to question number 1 sometimes. And that is, why do you want it? See, this is the question that people really avoid, even if they know or think they know the answer to number 1. And the reason for that is because it exposes borrowed ambition or the lack of it at all. All of a sudden, we have to ask questions like, am I chasing what I want because it's mine? It's what I truly want. Am I chasing it because it's impressive? It's just to make other people think well about me, and that's really all I care about. Is it because my industry rewards it, or the fact that this is what my peers and my friends or my family are expecting of me? One of the biggest regrets that people have in their life is winning at a game that they actually never wanted to play. That's how very capable people and elite performers end up burning out. This is why it's so important to understand our why, because it's going to stabilize you when things get rough. It is going to smooth out the chaos. When things get tough, ultimately, it's going to be your why that's going to help you push through. Your why is ultimately about your purpose, and purpose is going to give you resiliency, energy, and power to do the things that you need to do. If your why is weak, your discipline is totally going to break. It doesn't matter what kind of carrot you wave in front of yourself, all right? But if your why is strong, it's going to carry you all the way through. Now, we have to get to the last question. So what do you want and why do you want is all about figuring out the destination. What is it that we're trying to get to? What does success actually look like? Now we have to ask the next most important question. How are we going to get it? What do you want and why do you want is all about defining what success is for us in a given thing. Now we have to ask the question, how will you get it? Because that's all about the journey. Now, this question is kind of interesting because when you know what you want and why you want, a lot of people stop and they won't actually ask this question because they don't want to have to put in the work of actually figuring it out. But then there's a flip side to this. A lot of times people will just jump straight to this question of how do I get what I want without asking the first two questions. And then that's how we end up doing just a whole bunch of busy work and not getting anywhere that's truly satisfying. So if I'm sitting here and I'm going, I want a better marriage. And now I'm asking, okay, how am I going to get it? Now all of a sudden I need to look at what my existing systems are for my marriage. Do me and my wife have time set aside throughout the week for us to reconnect and talk to each other? Do we have date nights scheduled every 2 weeks with a babysitter coming to the house and yada, yada, yada? That's the kind of thing that we have to do to figure out success. In business, I have to sit down and I have to look at things and go, okay, I am not performing in this particular area. This metric is off. What am I doing that's not working? What am I not doing that's not working? Is there a skill set that I need to develop, a habit that I need to change, someone whose expertise I need to bring in to make up for my shortcomings? Asking these kind of questions is how we figure out the how. See, when you want amazing outcomes, you're not going to get there with basic systems, all right? This is why it's important for us in all aspects of our life to be asking questions like, what skills do I need to build? What habits do I need to change? What do I need to subtract? Those are all really important elements that we need to understand on how to get what we want. So for instance, if I want to have a better marriage and I start looking at it and going, okay, my communication skills are not very good. I need to be investing in that. If I look at the systems in our marriage and I go, you know what? We're not getting date nights even once a month. Then I need to schedule on my calendar a date night every other week. And then we need to call the babysitter in advance and get them pre-booked. That is the systems that you can start to create to build the marriage that you ultimately want. In your business, however you are measuring success, if you are launching a new product and you are measuring certain things and it's not working out, how do you tweak that? What elements of the process, of the offer, of the avatar that you're going after need to be changed? That's all part of asking the question, how? And when we do that, we are giving ourselves permission to go and figure it out. But one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make whenever they're trying to figure out the how is they think in terms of and. They're constantly trying to add new things. And I need to do this, and I need to do that, and we need to make sure that we bring this on, okay? But the reality is 95% of the time, the answer is actually in doing less. We need to subtract before we can multiply. People who are really motivated or at lead at something normally don't need motivation to do more. They're already doing a lot. That's why it's so important for us to sit there and go, okay, now I know what I want and I know why I want it. I probably don't have a lot of space in my life to bring on more things. So let's figure out what I'm already doing first that's not moving the needle, which is why I'm reevaluating all this in the first place, and figure out where I need to cut off certain things to make space to do other things that I do think are going to help me get my intended result faster. That's how we find success in our life. Now, anytime you're going through this, it's important that we maintain a growth mindset. And in order to do that, keep these three things in mind. The first one is that skills are learnable or outsourceable to other people. The second thing is that failure is feedback. So treat it that way. And then the third and final one is that identity can evolve. Don't think that you cannot grow. You can. So take some time, turn off all screens, get to a quiet place, and really start thinking about these three questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? And how are you going to get it? People do not avoid these questions because they're lazy. They avoid these questions because once you answer them, it normally means you have to act. And just know that if you hesitate on any of these questions, that's your bottleneck. That's the thing that is ultimately capping your performance ceiling. And that's a good thing that we find that because that's where the real work starts.